Well, good morning. For many of you, it was a pretty active late afternoon and evening and overnight last night with an unusual weather system moving through, but some significant rains in a large part of the state. And I'll start there here this morning, looking at some initial preliminary estimates from the radar overnight on where the haves and the have-nots in terms of the rainfall. And it was certainly the central lower peninsula is really the core area. And so what you're looking at here on this first graphic, these are again rainfall estimates from the radars from Grand Rapids in the lower left. This is Gaylord up here in the upper right, and then White Lake down near Detroit in the lower right-hand side. We're piecing those together, but collectively they tell the story here again of where the heaviest precipitation with this very unusual weather system for the summer went through. And you can see a wide swath really from west central parts of the state to just to the west of Grand Rapids and south a little bit, and then a large swath then east, northeast through central lower up into the Saginaw Valley and the northern thumb. And within this, some of the totals, and I've looked at these with some of the ground gauges as well, widespread 1 to 2 inches. Now, here at my house in Hazlet, I had 3.14, and I was somewhat surprised, although it rained. It was a steady, moderate to heavy rain with embedded thunderstorms. Just again, very unusual type of weather system. Something much more common in the cold season than we would see in the middle of summer. But that's what we had. Totals were much lighter as you go north from that, and then south of that, there were some spots. There was actually a little bit of severe weather reported here as well, mainly in the southwestern part of lower Michigan. Report of a tornado in Branch County, and then some high wind damage scattered around southwestern. But overall, the major impact with this weather system was heavy rain. That system is now off to the east, but the atmosphere will reload. I guess that's the moral of the story here as we look ahead. But starting quickly with the week in review, mean temperatures on the left-hand side here range from 2 or 3 degrees cooler or below normal in western and central upper Michigan to near normal over much of lower Michigan to about 1 degree or 2 above normal down in the southeast corner of the state. So that was and you can see much of the Midwest during the last week actually did end up being a little cooler than normal. On the right-hand side here are precipitation totals. This does not reflect the overnight rainfall. It goes through 8 a.m. yesterday morning. But again, as far as rainfall, a good week for most of the state here with a 0.5 to 1 inch totals. The green is the 0.5 inch threshold. You can see also significant portions of north central, northeastern, and east central lower Michigan picked up many cases more than 2 inches. So it was again, for water and for water coming in, precipitation, it was a fairly decent week. Some exceptions here: northwestern lower, and then portions of southern lower, which were generally missed or more missed by the rainfall. There, in many cases, less than 1/4 of an inch, in some cases, only about 1/10 of an inch. So another dry week there, but that will be changing here again as we look at the forecast over the next several days. And so starting there, I want to just look again at the upper airflow, because this season that we're in has just been one of extremes and very unusual weather. And at the heart of that, we've talked about this before, is this very amplified jet stream flow across North America. And you can see yet another example of that here. Currently, the upper air pattern here on the left-hand side, currently big cutoff low trough over Hudson Bay, over central Canada, down into the Great Lakes region. And then the forecast here for the next several days out through Sunday morning, you can see that the center of that particular circulation edges southward into the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes region. That's the major influence on our weather here. And so what we're going to be seeing here is a number of disturbances moving around counterclockwise around that circulation. The next one to come will be, beginning late tonight and tomorrow, and then into Saturday. But basically it's going to leave us with at least a daily chance for showers and thunderstorms on an almost daily basis moving into early next week. And that's again, this is a weather pattern that we just typically don't see during the summer, but we've seen it so often during the spring and the early summer thus far. It's again, it's linked with all of with the drought earlier. It's linked with the recent heavy flooding rains in the Northeast. It's linked with the extreme heat down in the South. Just an unusual pattern, so persisted so long during this growing season, but it does continue at least for the short term. So on the surface map here this morning, the weather system again that brought us the widespread rainfall overnight, at least to parts of the state, has moved off to the east. There will be a couple lingering showers here early this morning in the far eastern part of the lower peninsula, but otherwise we're looking at variably cloudy conditions. And then maybe during the afternoon, we could see a couple of showers pop up, but they will be isolated at best. But so most areas will be dry today and a little cooler than normal. Our high temperatures today only generally in the mid and upper 70s. By tomorrow, though, the next weather system, and again, it's another little ripple on that upper air pattern that we just looked at here coming around from the north and west, that will bring an increasing threat of showers and thunderstorms beginning in northwestern parts of the state here early tomorrow, and then moving south and eastward during the day and continuing on into Saturday. So what we're looking at, again, is an extended period here beginning tomorrow and Saturday for more rainfall. This is the map on Saturday morning here at 8 a.m. And for most of the state, that's when we will probably see the greatest threat of rain coming up next, again, overnight Friday, and especially during the day on Saturday. And probably the highest probability in totals in eastern and maybe some southeastern parts of the state, I think, in terms of geography. But most areas probably will see at least a shower with this, generally looking at a quarter to half-inch totals. However, there will be some heavier rain in that. There's, again, water vapor, and there's some moisture available for the system to work with. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some 1-inch totals before all is said and done late on Saturday. Beyond this, on Sunday, again, a continuing lingering chance, although I think on Sunday, most areas will remain dry, but there still will be some scattered showers. And then we'll call it an enhanced chance for showers and thunderstorms early next week on Monday or Tuesday as that big cutoff sinks down into the upper Great Lakes. Now, beyond that, the guidance does suggest that system, that upper air cutoff, will ultimately move off to the east. Wishful thinking, sometimes those they have a mind of their own, but that's what the guidance suggests at this point in time. So we will begin temperature-wise. I mentioned today a little cooler than normal. We'll bounce back tomorrow. Highs several degrees warmer tomorrow, and then into the weekend, probably for most of the state looking at low in mid-80s, so close to the normals, or even a little bit of a degree or two above the normal into the weekend. And then as that cutoff upper low moves down, we'll cool off once again early next week with a slow moderating trend by the middle to latter part of next week once again. And that's where we're going to go with the medium range outlook. In terms of precip totals over the week, this is the weekly forecasted total. You can see greatest totals in southern and eastern portions of the state, where 3/4 to 1 inch or more are at least possible and projected here. And I think I would agree with that, at least at this point. The best chances for rain and significant rain will be in the south and east. And that actually is a little bit more important, especially for the far southern part of the state that was missed. At least some of those areas were missed by the rainfall last night and could certainly use the water given the long-term dryness that still does exist over much of lower Michigan. Potential evapotranspiration rates, this is the reference value again projected for the upcoming week. You can see range from about 1,500ths per day on average in the north to a little over 0.2 of an inch per day. And that would be at or maybe a tad above the normal. There will be a fair amount of clouds and again, the threat of at least of more precipitation here. And that precip, by the way, that's going to certainly, with wheat harvest well underway, that's going to be a complicating factor here as we move. The threat will be there. So that's going to be something you're going to have to watch really quickly if you are out there working to try to get the wheat crop in or the harvest done. It's going to be hit and miss with precipitation. So watch those local updated forecasts on a regular basis to get the timing on the rain, because there certainly will be the continuing threat into early next week. In the medium range guidance here, looking ahead, really sort of a long-term, I would say, moderation in both temperatures and precip totals. This is a 6 to 10 day period through the 18th through the 22nd. And you can see this troughing feature still left on the lower left over eastern portions of the country, still leaving us with normal to below normal mean temperatures. That would be for the latter part of next week. I think that's a good bet. But and also note that near normal, no direction on precip for totals for that time frame. But by the 8 to 14 day time frame, the 20th through the 26th, you can see we definitely do see a moderation or warming of temperatures to normal to above normal levels. And that I think is probably the major message in the medium range. Not much of a change in terms of precipitation. If I would have probably put that, I would have probably put that northwesterly flow, upper air, I probably would have put us in a little drier than normal. But I think the big message with the medium range is that look for a moderation in temperatures after early next week, when we'll start off cooler than normal. So wrapping up here, again, an active weather pattern with a relatively cool day, but more rain coming, especially over the next 24 to 48 hours, Friday and Saturday, but then continuing in early next week with that upper air low. And ultimately, will be a little warmer than normal into the weekend. It will turn cool early next week with moderation thereafter, as you just saw in the median range. And that's right now, I think, the general trend that we're at for the next couple of weeks. So with that, I'll wrap things up here for this morning. And again, wish everyone luck if you are combining and trying to get the wheat finished up. It'll be a little bit challenging here for the next few days, but maybe better next week as we move into a little bit drier type of weather pattern. And with that, I'll stop and hand it off, turn it back to Phil. Thank you.